Okay, can everybody see my screen okay? You guys online? I hope.
Yes, I can see it.
Wonderful. All right, let's get started. This is WBS 101. If you're following along on your curriculum, on your syllabus, and you want to cross one off your list, today would be WBS 101, working with buyers. Just bringing us up to speed of where we've been and where we're going. We, of course, started with the first 4 weeks, which were intro weeks to this course. First, we wrote your business plan, so everybody here should know exactly how many people they need to speak to in a day. Second, we did an introduction to prospecting. Third, we did an introduction to the listing conversation. And then the fourth week, we did this introduction, an introduction to working with buyers. Those introductions were just to give it to you that in between the time that you took the first classes and to where you got to this week, which, we about 11, 12 weeks in, that you at least had something that if a buyer called you before today, you could at least get them out and take them out to see houses and have a basic, rudimentary knowledge of what to do, just like we did the intro to listing appointments. So you knew how to do those. So we finished that. We did 4 weeks of working prospecting for success. We taught you all those things. And in the last 4 weeks, we taught you how to, after you've gotten your prospects to become appointments, how to close 24 out of 25 listing appointments that you go on by using the listing conversation and our REAL acronym. Today, we move to working with buyers. We're going to do this, as I said, for 3 weeks. This will be followed by real estate marketing, which we will do 4 weeks of that. And again, that's one of the big, heavy meat on the bone trainings that we do. We finish that. We follow that series with objection handling success. And we also do the pricing conversation in there, which is something we talked about when getting listings, making sure we get the right price. And then we follow up with customer service success and some behavioral studies and things like that. So that's kind of where we are in the program. I always say the 3 essentials of these first 3: learning how to prospect, learning how to close a prospect for a listing, and when you have a buyer, being able to work with the buyer. So some basics when working with buyers. Guys, especially for those of you that may be new, I don't want you getting caught in what I call is the buyer's trap. What's the buyer's trap? I found a buyer, and you get so enamored and engrossed in that you forget what your real job is. Your real job as a successful realtor, as somebody that's going to make $100, $200, $500 million a year, is to build an inventory of business. What we taught you in prospecting for success, building that inventory of business. Working with buyers, I have here, it's incidental. That's one way of saying it. I'm looking now, man, time keeps ticking. I wrote this training 12 years ago. Holy cow. Never thought I'd live this long. Anyway, incidental is one way of saying it. I like saying it like this as well. Buyers are a byproduct, or obtaining buyers is a byproduct of you doing your real job. As you go to find listings, as you advertise for listings, as you do all of these things, buyers are going to fall in your lap. Unfortunately, new people get into real estate and, now I'm going to go back to my childhood, but the thought is we're going to get in the station wagon and I'm going to ride around drinking a cup of coffee and show people houses. And that's what being a realtor is, right? What have you guys learned? If anybody came in with those, whatever those crazy notions were, what have you learned? The number one part of your job, and you'll hear people say this, I didn't join real estate to become a telemarketer. Well, I'm not telling you that you're going to become the Time Life woman on TV. I am dating myself today, my God. But the point is that though you need to make contacts, getting appointments is the bulk of this job. Servicing those appointments is actually not that big a part of your day. If you have a great week, you want to talk about a week of somebody that's making, $250,000 a year, maybe they have 3 hours of appointments this week. Well, wait a minute. Wow, that sounds great. Yeah, but you left out the fact that the other 35 hours that they're doing is networking and getting out in front of people. So when you're getting out and getting in front of people, I don't want you getting caught in this buyer's trap, because what will happen if you're doing 3 hours of appointments a week, what does that mean? It probably means you're working with sellers. You could get caught with a buyer. And, I did this for you guys when we talked about prospecting and whatever else, but I'm going to do it again very quickly. So I call you and say, hey, I'm interested in buying a house. Okay. Oh, have you been pre-approved? Well, what's that? And now you've got to not only explain to me, but you have to convince me to go get pre-approved. And it might take you 2 or 3 conversations before I actually pick up the phone and call our mortgage person. What a waste of your time, right? Now I get pre-approved, and you have to download the letter and you have it, whatever else. Okay, well, I'm looking at houses $450,000 to $500,000 in Clearwater. Good luck. Land O'Lakes, maybe. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll start sending you houses. So now you have to go in and you've got to set up a search. Again, once you get down to a science, it's 15 minutes, but it's 15 minutes you could have been doing your real job, which is finding listings. Now what happens? They're getting your emails, you're doing follow-up calls, and they call you. Hey, we just found this house on Zillow, because they're not doing the right thing and using your website, right? Can we go see it today? And you get all excited. Yeah, I got there. We're going to get this. And you go and you meet them at the house. Then what ends up happening? Oh, we don't like this, right? Then what happens? You're out Thursday, you're out Saturday, you're out the next Tuesday, you're out the next Thursday. You see how the time's going up? So it needs to be incidental. And one of the things that we're going to teach you in this series is how to stop what I call the tail wagging the dog. Buyers right now look at us as valets. They look at you as a valet. You are the valet butler. You're the guy that opens the door, right? Valet butler, it all works, right? That's what they look at you as. We need to turn the tide when you do work with buyers. I'm getting off the subject here. I'll finish up this subject and I'm getting to the next subject, but we need to turn the tide that we are the experts, okay? And not just the doorman. So anyway, going back to the buyer trap, it's okay to work with buyers, but you need to control the amount of time and always understand that your full-time job is getting listings. This is your play money. You sell a house, this should not be money that you're using to pay your bills. This should be money for me, probably for you, going on a golf weekend, right? The other reason we work with buyers is we do it to take a break. You guys, none of you are probably to that point yet, but there are agents that I work with. I just got the phone with one of them. She's a grinder. She's taking these classes and she's a grinder. And about 4 times a year, she'll take a week and say, I'm not making any prospecting calls this week. Clear her head. And I'm good with that. I want you to do that. Of course, I want you to do that after you've built your inventory a little bit, right? Yeah. Right. And she'll go take some buyers out just to see what's going on in the area and not care about whatever. But as soon as she gets ready that next week, guess what? She's back at her real job. So we work with sellers, we play with buyers. You've heard me say it before, here it is again. Agents that work with buyers get paid accordingly, guys. That's your Starbucks realtor. They go and they meet their little person at Starbucks, sip a couple cups of coffee, show them houses. Guess what? They might have 3 closings in a month. Then what? They might go 6 months and not have another closing. Then they might have 2 closings. And their income, like I taught you guys the very first week of this program, up, down, up, down. The people that always have a constant inventory of houses, there's always one of those coffee drinkers bringing you one of their buyers. May not be the same. It won't be the same coffee drinker, but when you always have the inventory, you always have business. It is extremely important that you learn what I'm about to teach you here, and that you not only learn it mentally, but that you practice this. It's very easy what I'm going to teach you mentally. It's very hard to follow these rules. There are 3 categories of buyers. I'll go through them, then I'm going to go back and go through them. There's an A buyer, a B buyer, and a C buyer. An A buyer is someone that has to buy right now. You guys have probably heard me say this scenario that I like to use, but a guy just moved here from Oklahoma for his new job. He's living in a residence inn with his wife, his 3 kids, his 2 dogs, his cat, his parrot, and his goldfish. How long does he have before he's going to be on investigation discovery from murdering his wife, kids, possibly the poor dog. It's always the dog that suffers, on those programs. Yeah, right? He's got to buy now, my point being. This is a guy that no matter what, show him houses until he buys. But you have to identify that you truly have an A buyer. What's another example of an A buyer? Somebody that comes to you and says, thanks, Suzanne. She wasn't an analogy. You have somebody that comes to you and says, my lease expires and they're not renewing it. Guess what? In 2 months. Guess what? That person needs to find a house. Why do we go and go full out to get these people houses? Because they're going to be desperate to buy as you are to get a sale, honestly. So go with them. Do it. Show as many houses until they need to buy. That's the last time you're going to hear me say that. A B is someone that wants to buy. Let me use myself as an example. Now, I really don't want to ever move. I love my house and whatever else. But in a perfect world, there'd be two things that I could have at my house that I don't have. And that if things went whatever, I'm probably more describing a C buyer, but I would love to be in a golf course community. I'd love to move to like where my country club is and be able to drive around in a golf cart. If somebody came to me with the right deal, I would probably, even though I'm not considering it, move. And again, I'm probably more of a C buyer than I'm a B buyer. But so let me go back. A B buyer is someone that wants to buy, but there's no gun to their head. Okay? A C buyer is what I just described myself. If you came to me with the right deal and got me the right neighborhood and had the right buyer at the right price for my house, you hear all those ifs, right?
Yeah.
What am I to you if I was your client? Please don't hesitate. Say it. What am I? Anybody?
You're a C buyer.
I'm a waste of time. I am a waste of your time. Hey, Bill, I just saw a house in Cypress Run, your neighborhood. You want to come over and see it? Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm going to get him. And what do I show up and say? I don't like the paint.
Right.
No, you know what? I hate this hole. I don't want to be on the 15th hole. I should have said the 11th. I don't want to be on the 11th hole. I hate that hole. Anyway, I don't want to look at that and see my failures every time I open my front door, right? Or back door. That's a C buyer. C buyers, it's pretty, although I see realtors struggle with this, but C buyers, it really is easier to say to people, refer them out. Find somebody in your office. There's always a sucker in every office that'll take any buyer that you give them. Take a $25 referral. Okay. 25% referral, right? Let them go out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for 3 months and spend $700 in gas and spend 30 hours of their time. And then finally, maybe find them the right house, or maybe, we're going to wait another 6 months and see if interest rates go down after you've done that. They will suck the life out of you. B buyers. The theory of this is you don't work with any B buyers and you refer them out too. That's somebody that you know they're going to move, but they might cost you some time. And you say to yourself, well, why would you do that? Because I can you get 2 listings in the time and still take 25% from whoever else is taking them out. I've learned to, I guess as I've mellowed with age. When I first wrote this, I'm like, don't ever work with a B buyer. If the person's your close friend, if you don't mind, whatever, use your best judgment, but be sure they really are a B and not a C. Okay. And most important, make sure that whoever you identify, whether you identify them A, B, and C, that you're correct. If you take an A buyer out for a month, they probably really aren't an A buyer. It might have looked like it on the surface, but they aren't. Refer them out. How do I refer my friend out? They're a C buyer, or maybe they're a B buyer, and I don't want to waste my time because I know you're right and I want to get real business. How do I do that though? They're my friend. I just did it with somebody. I said, and this was true. I said, I'm gonna have Bettina work with you. Since she and I worked together for 7 years, and we work as a team. and she knows your area inside and out. You're an hour, they're looking to buy in Ruskin. I don't know Ruskin as well as Bettina does. Bettina sold 100 houses down there. No, probably not 100, but a lot of houses down there. I've sold 3, right? Have a story like that. You know what? I want to get the best, I love you and I would whatever, but I want to get the best service for you. This person specializes in that neighborhood or in that town. And that's your way around it. The showing. And I have to put this in here before the showing, guys. And we're going to talk more about this in the upcoming week trainings. But since I've written these trainings, we have a new thing that's happened. What's it called? A buyer's broker agreement. Buyer's broker agreement has everybody up in arms and scared to death and everything else. Was anybody in real estate then? Here, when the buyer business agreement broke? We were doing trainings. I was doing trainings 3 to 4 times a week. And the gal I was co-brokering with was doing them about the same. And we were doing them for probably 50 different offices worth of agents. Boy, we want to talk about great recruiting for us, because their brokers weren't even bothering to train on this. They were saying, oh, the MLS is teaching it, because they didn't understand it. The brokers didn't understand it. And they were like, if I teach them wrong, whatever, let the lawyer. And there was a lawyer from Florida Association of Realtors. I don't know if it was Florida or it was Tampa, it doesn't matter, that did a very good presentation. She really did. But it was like, really? But people wanted more, and they didn't want just a webinar. They wanted to be face to face and be able to ask questions, because they were scared and go line by line with it sitting in front of them. And that was what we did. And at the end of it, I said, this is the most simple form in the world for anybody that's filled one out. You know that. But this is now stopping what I alluded to before and we started to talk about. It stops the tail wagging the dog. What is the tail wagging the dog? Have you guys ever gotten a phone call from somebody? Hey, I got your name. I saw this listing on Zillow and I somehow got your name. It doesn't matter how they got it. I saw it on Facebook, whatever. Can we go see that? I finish work at 4. My wife finishes at 4:30. Can we meet you at 4:45 and show us this house? Have you gotten that call yet? If you haven't, you will. Probably some guys online. You can put your hand up or whatever if you want. Doesn't matter. This will happen to every one of you as you get into real estate, and especially as you get your name out there. What does the typical realtor do? Imagine you're sitting here right now and you just got that call. What would you come in? You come in here thrilled. I got a client. You got a headache, but we're going to get to that. You got a tail wagging the dog situation. Here's why. And maybe you don't have a headache. I shouldn't say that. Now I sound pessimistic. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm just telling you how it goes. So here's how that day plays out before the buyer's broker agreement. Okay. Let me call you back. I'll see if I can get it. Or you're on your phone and you're on showing times, frantically trying to get this 4:45 appointment. Guess what? Good news. You got it scheduled. Well, you get back with them. Meet you there, 4:45. You show up at the property. You shake their hand over the hood of your car. You show up to the front door, Mr. or Ms. Valet. You open the door. You let them in. They walk in. They zip through. Hey, you know what? Thank you. This wasn't really what we wanted. When we find another one, we'll give you a call. They get in their car and leave. Arguably, you may not even know their last name. You probably only have, and again, this could play different ways. You may only have their first name and phone number because they called you and you caller ID. If you're a little bit better, you got their full name, email address, but you never know how these things play out. No, don't worry. We'll just call you. And who controlled that?
They did.
They did. The tail wagging the dog. The beauty, I was thrilled. And you guys are going to see why in these next 3 weeks when they put this buyer broker agreement in, because what I teach every one of you is to have a meeting beforehand with the client. See, in the olden days, before the turn of the century, oh my God, we can say that now, can't we? Used to be there weren't computers. Something really interesting. I wrote this in 2014. My MLS in New Jersey got computerized 1 year before I became a realtor. It was like 2012 or 2011. Before that, they used binders. Binders. They'd go around every day. Talk to people that were realtors over 15, 20 years ago, and they'll tell you stories about the binders. The admins would have to go out every morning and go to every office and drop off their new listings. And then what they got smart, they had one person go for all the offices and then pick them up at the other offices. I mean, it was a mess, right? And so if you were a buyer, point being, if you were a buyer, the only way you could find out what was truly on the market other than driving around the neighborhood looking for sale signs, which they may or may not have, was to go into an office, sit down in a room like this, and go through the binder together.
Right.
The beauty of that was who then controlled the conversation? The realtor.
Right.
So we talk about all the great things of the internet, and there are. This was the bad side. The bad side is we lost complete control, and now we've become a butler. This, having to sign a buyer or broker agreement, guys, is the best news we could ever have had, because now that person needs to sign with us. And what I don't want you to do is to have them sign it on the hood of your car before they go walking in. Say to them, explain to them, listen, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. We still get a lot of people who don't even know about this, and they give us, I'm trying to remember who I just talked to that had a hard time about it, and I had to tell them this story. It was just over the weekend or Friday. Anyway, I think it was Rosemary. You guys know her. Anyway, the point is that now you can say to them, the laws have changed. There was a giant lawsuit, and we need to sit down and explain what our relationship is to you and how all this all works. I don't need much of your time, but I'm going to explain this to you. I put together the best possible way for you to find the absolute perfect house. All I'm asking for is a half hour of your time. We don't need to go to an office or out of the way. There's a Dunkin' Donuts that's 5 minutes from this property. Can we meet there at 4:45 instead of the house? And I'm going to schedule the appointment for 5:15. Now, of course, you're scheduling from 5:15 to 6:15, so you don't have to be there. You can have as much time as you want. Sitting down, not just to have them, hey, here's the wrong way to do it. You have to fill this out or I legally can't show you the house. Did I take any more control? Other than now I definitely have your name, email, phone number, address? No. What I want to do is explain it to them. But now I want to find out. I understand, you know, you like this house you found on Zillow today, and you asked the necessary questions. What did you like about it? What's your price range? What are you pre-approved for? Is this the only neighborhood? Is this the only town? And now you sit down and find out all the stuff. And then you explain your process. I'm going to teach you guys a 6-step buying process next week and the week after, okay? That you explain, this is how I work and do this. And the whole thing about the process that I'm going to teach you guys and that we're going to start talking about is so that you don't go showing houses Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday, Sunday, starting over in a month and 6 weeks and whatever. So the first thing, I'm finally going to get to this slide, is you need to learn what I like to call the shiny penny houses. What is a shiny penny house? And this is where you guys are going to have to learn the inventory. They're the best 5 houses in a price range. So if you say that Oldsmar, we're sitting here, we use this, you know, is the first town I'm going to be doing real estate in, I need to learn the top 5 houses in every price range. Price range is usually, until you get in the millions, are usually about 50,000 increments. So if you come to me and say I was pre-approved for $500,000, I should or very quickly be able to get my hands on the best 5 houses that are the best bang for your buck. We're going to talk about some of this later, but the truth is that people will always buy the house that they feel like they're getting the most for their money. I have to have a 2-story house, blah, 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 blah. You say, look, I'm going to show you this ranch. I know you said you wanted a 2-story, but I just want you to see it because it's such an incredible house at this price. They walk in there and see that this house is so much nicer than the other ones. They forget that they wanted 2 stories. Right. It's absolutely true. The other thing you explain to them in this meeting, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think it's important because some of you are starting to work with buyers right now, even before next week, and I want to make sure you know this, is you tell them, I am an expert in this market. This is what I do. You don't have to say I'm an expert. It sounds kind of like Tony Romo yesterday. If anybody watched football, I'm the expert. Yeah, whatever. You know, you don't have to sound arrogant like that, but you tell them, you know, I do, this is what I do for a living. I know the markets inside and out. The houses I'm showing you in Oldsmar for $500,000 are the top 5 houses bang for the buck for this money. So now when that person doesn't like any of those 5, first of all, you know, they're not an A buyer, right? Or they're, you know, you're going to wait until another top 5 house comes on the market, which is what you're going to explain to them ahead of time. I'm not just going to keep showing. If you didn't like houses 1 through 5, are you really going to like house 6 through 10, which is inferior? And you explain that to them ahead of time. This is going to save you a ton of legwork. When they call you and have house number 11, but they look really good because of the pictures on Zillow, you go back and explain to them. Yeah, I know you were saying that. Did you happen to know that house had a mold problem? Right? By knowing the inventory, you're going to know these things. Or you just say to them, listen, if you want to go see that house, you know, we can go see it, but it's going to be a complete waste of your time. I'm here to save your time. That house is number 11 in my rankings. You didn't like houses 1 to 5. What makes you think you're going to like this house, which has a smaller master bedroom? You complained about the master bedroom being small in that other house. It didn't have a pool. You said you had to have a pool. Knowing the marketplace just enough and understanding and setting the expectation that you're only going to show the top 5 houses is huge. Another thing, a guy taught me this 30 years before I was in real estate. I was right out of college. I was like 22 years old. And it was a guy that had sold real estate, Joe Giordano. He's probably dead now, but anyway, because he was about 80 then. And he said, you know, I sold real estate for a lot of years. And he says, you have to understand, if you show somebody more than 4 or 5 houses, you're doing them a disservice, especially in one day, because they won't remember which one's which. They start running together. He said, and I think, honestly, because I learned 5, I think 5's a stretch. I explain that to clients when they say, can we go see these 15 houses today? Anybody ever had those clients? I've had them. Every client I ever have is that person. Oh, we just want to see these 20 houses on Saturday. It'll happen to you, I promise. I promise. So only the top 5. And if you said, no, don't explain, I don't want them. If you explain to them ahead of time that you know the market and whatever else, you can set expectations and save a ton of time. Okay. Understand, I already said this, but if they don't buy one of these homes, they're probably not ready to buy. Or their expectations are completely unrealistic. They want a $600,000 house, but only have $400,000 in their pocket. And that's something that you can say, these are the best of what you can get for this kind of money. If you really want a house that has that extra office, you have to figure out a way to get another $100,000 in the budget, you know, and then people rationalize, they come down. And sometimes I've had this happen. We'll come back, and one of the things, I'll teach this later, but this is good to say now too, is when people look at houses, and we're going to argue about this a little bit. We're not going to argue, we're going to debate this a little bit. I want to get, because I always like to get you guys feelings on this. I think we'll do this next week. Putting people on a drip campaign for houses. Okay, you send them houses on from your website, hopefully not from Zillow, not from Realtor.com, not from MLS, but from your website. By sending them every day, what's that message send? Okay, that's not for this class. Come to Digital Mastery tomorrow. We'll fix yours. No. What is that telling you when you get, if I say to you, you know, you're looking for a house and I keep sending them to you every day, new houses come. There's an endless supply, and I've got so many to choose from. Right. One of the things I'm going to teach you guys when we teach you how to do the meeting is you want to get it so, wait a minute, there's only really 5 best houses. I want the mindset from, oh, there's a million places to choose from, to which of these 5 is going to be best for me. And we're going to learn in this series here how to change that mindset to, wow, yeah, there may be 20 listings right now, but of the 5 top ones, only 2 of them really fit my needs.
Needs and wants.
Right. Right. Needs and wants. Right. Exactly.
The wants don't really matter. It's
Yep.
Needs.
So again, going back, if they don't buy one of those top 5 to 7 houses, tell them, explain to them, and do this. Wait until another top 5 hits the market. I'm not going to go show you house number 23 when you didn't like number 2 or number 1. Don't continue to waste time showing them houses. Only show them the best of the best. And most importantly, keep your job, your time free for your real job, which is what? Working the phones, getting listings, work with sellers, play with buyers. Generating buyer appointments. You know what the number one way to get buyers? Have more listings. More listings equals more buyers. When established, once you're established, focus on listings and A buyers only. Refer B and C buyers to other agents in the office. You're still going to make 25%, but guess what? You're not going to have bald tires on your car. You're not going to need an oil change. You're not going to have spent $300 on gasoline. You're not going to waste all your time. And Advil and migraine medication.
Sure.
Absolutely right. Floor office time. Okay, 1978. Come on, welcome back. We don't have that here. Most agents, you know, the only places that have office time are ones that are on the beach because they're doing rentals. These guys work office time because they're rental agents, right? Sales agents, we don't really do this anymore. But what your office time could be in your house, it could be at Panera Bread, it could be wherever you go to work, and your assigned time that you use that time only to prospect for listings. Never use it to prospect for buyers. What else gets you buyers? Yard signs. Did you know that 8% of your listings you'll sell 8% of your listings, you'll get the buyer? 8%. That's the statistic. I don't know if I believe that statistic. It's a National Association of Realtors statistic. I've only done it in commercial. I think maybe I've never done it in residential. Over 100 houses. So, of course, maybe that's not a big enough sample size, but the statistic is it's 8%. You know what that statistic does not take into consideration? How many people might have called you and bought a different house or found you because of the yard sign? And I have had that happen. Listings are the best advertising going. They're everywhere. You're on Zillow now. You're on your 4,000 websites we go out to, right? Philadelphia Inquirer, the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune. We're in those things when you have a listing. Social media. People want to see the house that's listed in their neighborhood. They're going to find you. And remember, most importantly, if they are not A buyers, do not waste your time with them. In the materials, and guys, for those of you, if you are not subscribed, if you've not gotten in touch with me with your email address, I will subscribe you guys online is what I'm talking to now, to my stepaheadrealestatetraining.com page. All of the scripts and everything else that are there for you. You can just download them and have them, and you can keep them all in one place. But we have a buyer script that's going to help you get started. Now, this buyer script, I'm going to have to update this, and I will at some point, does not have any information in there yet about the buyer's broker agreement, but we'll get that. Honestly, it's just one of those things we know we have to do. That's why I haven't gone crazy doing this. And like I said, it has now made the perfect excuse for you to sit down and have a buyer conversation, a buyer consultation with your clients before you go out. And we're going to go through how to do that with our 6-step process in the upcoming trainings for this series. Most importantly, guys, get the listing. Discuss with every buyer whether they have a property to sell. This is something that people don't do. We talk about this when we teach prospecting driven open houses. People work an open house, right? They bake their little cookies, and they have little refreshments, and they sit there, and the person comes in and they say, "Hi, would you please sign in?" Which you never do. You should have them doing a raffle so you get real information, and have an excuse to call them the next day. If you have any questions at a house, let me know. And that's your thing. And they come down, "Hey, do you have any questions?" No, they're gone. No. Hey, where are you living now? Do you own or do you rent? Ask questions, because we want to find out if they already have another house, if they live in another house. If they're on a lease, when's that lease up? Right? Find out these questions. More importantly, we own a house now. We're just thinking about maybe moving. That's the person that goes to an open house. And it's the same thing here. When somebody calls you and says they want to find out about the house, ask the question, "Hey, where are you living now?" this is something that people don't get. If you don't ask that question, do you know what? There's a really good chance that that person's going to call somebody else to list their house. You might get the buy out of it. It's just a pain in the neck. And you didn't get both deals because you didn't ask. Oh, I didn't know you could do both. I didn't know you were. Are you a buyer? You ever hear people? Are you a buyer's agent or a seller's agent? You know what you say back to them? You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's no such thing, right? You know, I always say I focus on sellers because that's what our job is, but I work with buyers, you know, whenever they come up, right? But you don't need to explain all that to a client. But they think you're there working at open house. You know what else they think? They think that you can only sell houses that are Century 21. If they want to buy a house that's listed Coldwell Banker, guess what? When they got to get in touch with, I don't know which one of these guys are Coldwell Banker, if any of them. You got to get in touch with our Coldwell Banker brothers and sisters on the other side of the aisle here, because we can't sell it to them. They don't understand what IDX is. Guys, keep it simple and make sure you're explaining these things by asking them where they're living now. Do you have a house you need to sell? Do you have to wait for a lease to end? Not only are you going to help build a rapport and build a relationship with them, which is of utmost importance, as importance as we just learned in the listing conversation, it's also giving you information to now say, hey, well, why don't I give you a free market evaluation? You rent? Hey, let's get together. I'm going to give you a free first-time home buyer. Did you know there's all kinds of first-time home buyer programs? No, I didn't know that. Or yeah, I heard it once, but I don't know anything about it. Okay, how about I set that up for you? Work to get an appointment.
Actually, when I was doing the MLS class the other day, they had a huge thing in there. I thought it was a good selling point. Is they have a program in there that you can sign up for, and it'll tell you all the county sponsored properties that will give you down payment assistance.
Okay, so you don't need to do anything with the MLS. They're always trying to sell themselves. Cheryl has that info.
Oh, okay.
You can get that from Cheryl.
Okay, gotcha.
And Cheryl's on
our team.
She's on our payroll, baby. You can call her and she's willing to help any which way.
Gotcha.
But yes, that is true. You could do it that way. It's just easier.
Yeah, I didn't know that was even available.
Also, when you do schedule a first-time home buyer, guys, this is important. Have your mortgage person be present. Have them be part of it, because you know what 90% of first-time home buyer programs are? Out of our scope. It's all about right. Then we'll talk about finding the right house. So guys, the bottom line as we end working with buyers for Success 101 is get the listing, get the listing, get the listing. We work with sellers, we play with buyers. We're going to teach you guys how to make money with buyers and whatever else. Again, as we go through this, and I hope today's session gave you a pretty good basis for what we are going to go much deeper into. But the point of at the end of the day is I want you to walk out here not focused on going to find buyers, but let the buyers fall in your lap, because they will. Go do your real job and get listings. I'm going to say goodbye.